March 17, 1943. Berlin. The folder hit Admiral Wilhelm Canaris's mahogany desk so hard that his coffee splashed across secret reports. Papers that, if found by the Gestapo, would mean his death. "Impossible," Canaris whispered. "Propaganda. The Americans are feeding us lies." Through the tall windows of the Abwehr headquarters, he could see the Landwehr Canal, where Rosa Luxemburg's body had been thrown 24 years earlier. Now, as chief of German military intelligence, he held in his trembling hands a report that defied Nazi belief and threatened the entire foundation of Germany's war strategy. According to intercepted communications and field reports from agents in Mexico City, the Ford Motor Company's Willow Run plant was producing one B-24 Liberator bomber every hour. A single bomber. 18 tons, 1.5 million parts, 450,000 rivets. And they were rolling off the line like sausages. Major Friedrich Wilhelm Heinz had checked the numbers 3 times. They were accurate. Neither man knew that this moment would trigger one of the greatest intelligence failures in history. A blindness not of data, but of belief. It had begun 2 years earlier. In 1941, Luftwaffe General Karl Köhler had warned Hermann Göring that American aircraft production was approaching 2,000 planes a month. Göring had laughed, his fat hands slapping the table. "Americans build refrigerators and razor blades, not bombers," he jeered. "Their democracy makes them weak. Their mongrel blood makes them inefficient. Their Jews make them corrupt." By 1943, every German intelligence network in the Americas was screaming the same impossible truth. The Americans were outbuilding the Reich by orders of magnitude. Reports poured in from sympathetic Mexican industrialists, Swedish businessmen, even letters from American workers to relatives in neutral countries. All told the same story. Ford's Willow Run plant alone was producing more bombers than all of Germany's factories combined. Oberstleutnant Nikolaus Ritter, head of Luftwaffe intelligence, spent 3 sleepless weeks verifying the data. Ritter had lived in New York for 10 years and had watched Americans erect the Chrysler Building in less than 2. He knew what their industry could do. "If these numbers are true," he told Canaris, "then Germany has already lost the war. It is now only a question of mathematics and time." In Mexico City, Abwehr agent Georg Nicholas had cultivated American businessmen who bragged about miracles in Detroit. At a party, oil executive Harold Morrison, half drunk on tequila, described what he'd seen at Willow Run. "The assembly line is over a mile long," he said. "It rains inside the building. They've got 42,000 workers. Women, even Negro women, building bombers like cars. A woman who cooked breakfast yesterday is installing hydraulic lines today." The German agent at the table, posing as an Argentine trader, nearly dropped his drink. Even the Spanish military attaché in Washington, Colonel José Hungría, sent reports confirming the madness. After meeting Ford's production chief, Charles Sorensen, he wired Berlin, "They are building bombers as if they were automobiles. 60,000 separate operations. 8,000 workers trained weekly. 40% women. Negro machinists, boys managing logistics. Democracy means using every human being. That is their strength." Japanese and Swedish intelligence confirmed it independently. 1 factory, 650 bombers a month. Desperate for proof, Canaris launched Operation Pastorius, sending saboteurs into America by submarine. But one of them, George John Dash, surrendered to the FBI within days. During interrogation, he said quietly, "Admiral Canaris sent us not to destroy, but to verify. Berlin doesn't believe your production figures." The FBI agent laughed. "They don't believe we're building a bomber every hour?" Dash smiled bitterly. "I lived here. I've seen your automobile plants. Ford built cars every minute before the war. Why wouldn't they build bombers every hour now?" On April 20th, 1943, Hitler's birthday, Canaris stood before Göring at Karenhall, the Reich Marshal's palatial hunting estate. 17 independent sources confirm the figures, Canaris said. "Willow Run is producing 1 bomber every hour." Göring's laughter filled the hall. "These are wooden mock-ups for propaganda. Americans can't build aircraft like sausages." "Mein Reichsmarschall," Canaris pleaded, "their aluminum consumption alone exceeds our entire production." Göring sneered. Then perhaps they make aluminum from their Negro workers. A week later, Canaris was called to brief Hitler himself. He brought photographs, manifests, and production reports. Hitler didn't even glance up. The Americans can mass-produce toys, he said coldly, not precision machines. They are incapable of such discipline. General Jodl tried to interject. Even if 1/4 of these figures— The figures are false, Hitler snapped. Democracy cannot defeat destiny. Canaris had secretly obtained film footage of Willow Run. 5 minutes showing the mile-long assembly line in motion. Aircraft moving like clockwork. Workers of every color and gender performing perfect choreography. When the reel ended, his deputy, Hans Oster, whispered, "My God." It's true, Canaris burned the film. We can't show them. They'd call us traitors. By late 1943, photographic evidence arrived from Spain. Vast parking lots, assembly lines, rows of completed bombers. Analysts confirmed the Americans were building as reported. Göring dismissed the photos as fakes, but Albert Speer, Minister of Armaments, read the same data in secret and wrote in his diary, "If these figures are even half true, Germany faces annihilation. They build more aircraft in 1 month than we in a year." He told no one. To speak truth was to die. On Christmas Eve, 1943, Canaris received projections for the next year. B-24s, 18,000, B-17, 12,000, fighters, 40,000, total, 86,000 aircraft in 1 year. Hitler laughed again. They claim they will produce more aircraft than all nations combined. Absurd. By February 1944, Canaris was removed, accused of defeatism. Then came Big Week, February 20th, 1944. Over 1,000 American bombers hit German aircraft factories in 6 days, dropping more tonnage than the Luftwaffe had unleashed during the entire Blitz. Fighter ace Adolf Galland told Göring, "Herr Reichsmarschall, I've seen 800 bombers in one formation. They are real." On June 6, 1944, D-Day, 11,000 Allied aircraft filled the skies of France. The Luftwaffe rose with fewer than 300 fighters. The outcome was no longer in doubt. That same month, Willow Run hit its peak. 453 bombers in 468 hours, one every 63 minutes. 42,000 workers, 11,000 women, nearly 4,000 Black Americans, and hundreds of disabled workers, all building the machines that ended fascism. Each rivet, each panel, each engine defied the Nazi myth of racial superiority. After the war, surviving German officers told the truth. "We were drowning in accurate intelligence," said Hans Bernd-Gisevius, "but to report it meant death. Our leaders didn't want facts. They wanted comfort." Canaris and Oster were executed in 1945. Albert Speer later confessed, "To believe Ford could build a bomber every hour would mean admitting our entire worldview was wrong. That democracy was not weakness, but power. That diversity was strength." At the 1985 dedication of the Yankee Air Museum, Rosie the Riveter herself, Rose Will Monroe, who had riveted B-24s at Willow Run, met a former Luftwaffe pilot. "How did you build so many so fast?" he asked. She smiled. "Honey, we just went to work every day." Democracy isn't complicated. It's free people doing their best. The pilot bowed his head. "We were told democracy made you weak. We were told lies. Those lies killed millions." In the ruins of Berlin, Allied officers found a final Abwehr report dated April 20th, 1945, Hitler's last birthday. Willow Run production confirmed. "We reported this truth 2 years ago. We were not believed. Germany dies not from lack of intelligence, but from lack of wisdom to believe it." Reality does not bend to ideology. Mathematics does not yield to myth. Truth ignored becomes tragedy. And in the end, thousands of American bombers, many built by women at Willow Run, delivered the verdict that German intelligence had already written. Democracy builds. Tyranny believes lies, and lies always lose.